We then went across to CFOs, and from amongst very many questions that we kind of put to them, we asked them what percentage of their budgets they would be able to expend towards creating digital workspaces. Now, it's very important to note that CFOs as a whole would classically tend to make a readiness to invest only when they saw value. Now, I'm very happy to mention that almost all the CFOs that we went to were convinced very, very strongly of the argument that digital workspaces was a model that not only was logical, given the current state and time that we are in, but also of immense business value, which is why we see that upwards of about 11% of the CFOs that we spoke to were very clear that they were willing to expend and invest upwards of 10% of their budgets towards creating digital workspaces. Now, while the rest of the data points are up there for you, I think what's also important is to understand the minds of the CFOs. The CFO was, or the group of CFOs that we went to really, were very, very clear about the fact that they saw a very clear linkage between creating digital workspaces and the direct impact it would have on the fiscal metrics of an organization. Now, while that is so, we also asked them to be, whether they would be, well, really, able to quantify the impact on the fiscal metrics. And because fiscal metrics really being positively impacted is a sign of the fiscal prudence that comes from a certain technology deployment, which is why upwards of 42% said that if digital workspaces were to be created and the models of future of work to be adopted within an organization, there is no surprise that it would increase revenue and profits by upwards of 5%. Now, this data point really only increases with almost about 20% of the organizations saying that it would increase from anywhere between 3% to 9%, which, well, if you look at revenue and profit margins as an, as an integer on the whole, you would see that this is very, very sizable in nature. I'm going to go on and move on to the human resource angle of this, where we are clearly seeing that organizations today and human resource leaders as a whole are clearly showing a sense of urgency uh, with their primary drivers and the impact that they perceive to be at an organizational level, starting off at the highest chunk by the levels of increase in productivity and revenue that organizations would see, closely followed by the enhancement of employee experience that organizations could see. And very importantly here, I come to a point here that human resource leaders that we spoke to spoke on, uh, is that their ability, therefore, to attract digital talent would also go up by creating digital workspaces for the simple reason that their logic was that when we need great talent, it does not necessarily have to be domiciled in any one specific geographical area where the organization may or may not have its offices. Increasingly, HR leaders are today seeing digital workspaces and digital talent to be acquired from anywhere that it exists, therefore truly symbolizing the concept that organizations today are ready to move on to a work model or a model of the future of work, which is really agnostic of time and space. Last but not the least, we did a small comparison amongst how different leaders perceived the same way and the same questions, where we asked them, what is the most important business outcome from the operations department in the following fiscal year, which is 2020-2021? And I think there was a unanimous agreement that creating digital workspaces would lead to increased business and operational automation. And something that was very, very critical in today's day and age is the operational cost savings, which really point to the largest segments of collective requirements that organizations are looking for. And this really is a metric or a set of data points that point to how organizations should be looking at the overall concepts of the future of work.